Good afternoon and welcome to our Snacktime Snippet section on GovCon365. Today's scenario we're going to discuss is how to handle cost type contracts within Microsoft Dynamics 365. In an earlier session, we talked a little bit about the home page and how it provides quick access to information. One of the areas that I'm going to quickly drill into is my list of jobs. We're going to select our job list. And now from that job list, you're seeing some details about different jobs inside of our demo system. Today, the focus will be on a cost plus fixed fee project. Before we go there, I do want to touch a little bit on our fact box over to the right. This is another one of those exciting features that Microsoft provides, which is a quick view of information about this record without actually having to run a report. So for project 10025, I can quickly see the total contract value, amount funded, and other key metrics such as billing or commitments. Each one of these values provides us the ability to drill in to see the detail. So in this case, the $1,000 of commitments, I can drill in and see what makes up that $1,000, including actually pulling up the document to see the detail. So just a great way to get information without actually having to run a report or go to a separate screen. Let's go ahead and open up that record, and we'll talk a little bit about setting up a cost plus fixed fee project. You've got tabs of information in the job. In this case, I've got some general data like the job number, the description, the client we're doing the work for, who is our internal project manager. If we wanted to see additional data, we can click the Show More tab, and it'll show us additional data, including the detailed address. Let's go down to the Government Contracting tab and talk about some of the setups required for this cost type project. So as I scroll down, there's information about the revenue and billing methods. So each of these drill into a formula that provides that additional detail. So if I look up my cost plus fixed fee formula, I can select from my default list, but you also have the ability to configure these formulas based on scenarios that might be unique to your business. So in this case, I'm just choosing my standard cost plus fixed fee formula where I'm billing my labor based on cost, my non-labor based on cost, burdening both, and applying fee to both. So these are completely configuration based, and you can set up formulas based on your specific needs. As I scroll down, when I look at my billing pool group, this is related to, on a cost plus project, how do we recover indirects? So your indirect recovery method can either use your corporate structure. We've got another video that we're going to show how our indirect rate is set up. But once they're set up, you have a standard rate structure that is your corporate structure that can be used for recovery of your indirects. The fee that you earn is, again, a lookup to a prior defined setup that can be reused, or it can be specific to that job. We've then got any withholding that could be related to that job. On the right-hand side is some informational data about this job, everything from the job contract type, which goes into our incurred cost submission, our primary contract number, other contract data, contracting office, and paying office. So this gives us the general setup of the job. And then to see the additional detail, we would go into our government contracting work breakdown structure. The work breakdown structure is really the guts to the job cost side of the system and provides several key elements related to that setup. What you can see is the structure is separated by dashes. So we've got our 001 series, which was made up of a labor base year and ODCs. You can collapse these or expand them as needed. With that WBS, you're able to define the contract and funded value. So if you remembered earlier, we showed on the right-hand side our fact box, which showed us we had $2 million funded and about $750, I think, or $750 funded and $2 million of contract value. This is set up within the WBS structure, and the funding can be set at any level of the WBS. So in this example, that $650,000 is available for both the labor, base year, and ODC base year. You can also attach CLINs or ACRINs to that funded value. When I drill into that 650,000, it's going to show me the detail that makes up that amount. It's going to show me my initial funding, any mods, both financial and non-financial. So non-financial, like a change in the POP, then the effective date of that mod. And as we talked about before, you could also attach documents, including emails, if you're using the add-on that provides the details for attaching a document within SharePoint. In addition to tracking that funding within the WBS, you're also defining the charging structure. So I can tell in the system which charge codes are valid for time charging, expense charging, both, or neither. Maybe it's just a roll-up level potentially. We can define the membership, which is the charging hierarchy. So actually, who can see the charge code? That's your labor workforce authorization. So I can define the team of people that can see this code. In addition to seeing the entire job, you can also restrict them by WBS or provide visibility within a certain time frame. So in this case, Timothy can see the charge code just for that 11-day period. Everybody else would see it for the entire period of performance of that task. Then finally, we've got approval hierarchies for time, expense, and requisition. And you have the ability to have an unlimited number of approvers against each of those specific records. Each of these WBS codes or subtasks has additional data underneath of it that provides information about that record, which allows us to handle tasks that might be of a different type than the main job. You could also have revenue and billing rules that are different, a different department that owns the task, or in this case, maybe the fee percent could be different than the main job. So we can default from the main job, but the individual task can be unique, including that period of performance on the job. So that WBS is really a critical component of the job structure to make sure that we're properly managing and executing that job.
So Paul, can you share with the viewers how a company would manage rates that are different than their approved provisional rates?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mark. And that was Mark Lahart. I forgot to introduce him earlier, but Mark's a longtime colleague and friend here at Extivia. So one of the things that Mark was talking about is having what we call budgeted rates. So on a cost type project, you may have bid your rates different than your provisional, in this case, because you're really trying to aggressively get into a new market. So with that budgeted rate, you're able to define for any of your pools, you can tell the system what is the budgeted rate that we're using for billing. So in this case, our overhead pool, we're using a budgeted rate of 49%, and I think our approved provisional rate was 50%. So we're, in essence, offering this client a 1% discount on our overhead rate. And then you can also have that final rate of your budgeted rate to produce the final approved invoice once you get that government audit. And again, we're going to have some additional videos on the indirect rate structure. But thanks for that question, Mark. All right, so then just a couple last things I want to touch on before we close off this little snippet. The system has the ability to track alerts. And what alerts are used for is these are internal notifications, or they could be external. So at any level of the WBS, so you just pick the WBS level, and you can tell the system you want to compare the spent or billed amount. So spent means you've actually used up that cost. Billed means we've processed the invoice. And you can compare it to what's been funded or budgeted. We've got another video that we're going to show on how to build budgets against projects. But these two measures can be compared, and at any percentage, you can trigger an email to automatically be sent. So in this example, we've got at 50, 70, and 90%, an email going out to the project manager. You can also go to the task manager. And then we've got places for optional email addresses. So in this case, you can see that when that condition is met as part of a nightly routine, Mark would get an invoice to inform him when it hits that specific measure. That's a little preview today on how to set up a cost type project inside of Microsoft Dynamics with the GovCon365 solution from Extivia. We appreciate your time and hopefully you enjoyed our little snippet. Have a great day.